Shall we get started then, Laura?
I think so, Tom, if that's all right. Just a quick good morning from me. We're really delighted to have you here for our webinar this morning. Just as I've said before, apologise if I'm repeating myself. We are recording the session, so if you know people that wanted to jump on this morning and for some reason or other have been unable to join us, we will be recording it and we will be putting it on our webinar library on the Staffordshire Chamber of Commerce website. So if they do want to watch it back, or you want to watch it back yourself and you have to jump off at any point, you will be able to do that as well. And like I've just said, if you want to raise your virtual hand, bear with me, my screen's just gone funny. If you want to raise your virtual hand to ask a question throughout the session today, or you can pop your question in the chat as well, that's not a problem as well. And Tom, I'm going to hand it over to you if that's okay.
Brilliant. So thank you, everybody. So thanks for coming this morning. Before I hand over to Sarah, I just want to kind of make everybody aware that this is kind of a relaunch of the Staffordshire Business Pledge for Literacy. We did launch it last year in 2020, just right before the dreaded pandemic hit. So it meant that kind of everything that we had planned had to be put on hold. This is kind of the relaunch that we are doing about it. So thank you for all kind of joining it today. It's a real big cause, not just to kind of myself, but also to the Chamber, the Chamber's board, and kind of everybody. So I'd now like to hand over to Sarah to do the official welcome.
Thank you very much, Tom. And yes, welcome everybody. It's really nice to see so many people expressing their interest in this incredibly important topic. The Chamber's journey with the Literacy Trust started a few years ago when Dame Julia Cleverdon came and spoke at one of our patrons' lunch and was absolutely passionate and inspirational about the need for us all to join in the challenges that were facing young people and the issues they were facing around literacy. And it's been our great pleasure that the chairman and the board and patrons have taken this cause on. And it's been lovely to be able to work with the National Literacy Trust and Stoke Reads and all of the people who have been involved in trying to bring more books and more awareness of this topic to Stoke-on-Trent in particular. And it's really pleasing that we've got a Staffordshire Pledge for Literacy now that will celebrate success and raise awareness in the business community by working with young people to really help them to have access to books and to be more literate. People say a picture paints 1,000 words, but actually that's 20 to 40 pages of a book. And a book gives you many more pictures in your head than just one. And I think that's really important to bear that in mind about what we are asking people to do by actually generating more awareness of literacy, especially within young people. They will get ideas, it will spark their imagination, it will spark their curiosity, it gives information and it helps them learn empathy. It also will help keep people safe because they will be able to read safety instructions when they actually join the workforce. But more than anything, I think reading helps raise people's aspirations. And as we know, we need to raise the aspirations of our young people in Stoke-on-Trent. So for me, this is absolutely important. It hits so many of the targets that we expect from our future workforce. And that is really why we are so passionate about this cause. I think we owe every young person in Stoke-on-Trent the opportunity to have this extraordinary and ordinary gift. And I think, therefore, that is why we are asking and pleading with businesses to really take on signing the Staffordshire Pledge for Literacy. Businesses can really help in this. It isn't just enough to leave it to the schools and the parents. We need to join in with this as a big campaign for everybody. And it is for us all as parents, as employers, and as members of society to make sure that our young people really can have access to this. And so working with the National Literacy Trust is an absolute joy because this is obviously their raison d'etre. And it has been really exciting to see how we have been able to develop the pledge from that. I'd like to pay tribute to Tom Nadin from the Chamber for leading on all of this, and his loyalty and his dedication to this cause has been fantastic. As he said, we tried to launch it last year, but the pandemic got in the way. So we're really hoping that now seems to be exactly the right time. And we know that young people have really suffered over the last year, but that we can really help be a beacon of light in their future. So it's really nice to see you all here. It's really nice to be able to talk about this and to hear what everybody else has to say. And so with no further ado, I'd like to pass over to Jason from the National Literacy Trust. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. Good morning, everybody. And yeah, I mean, Sarah has helped to set the scene incredibly well. What I want to do is not the kind of doom and gloom side of the literacy challenge. I think that everybody here will know that, you know, there's a big crossover between deprivation, between life circumstances and literacy and skills. From the point of view of the National Literacy Trust, we see literacy as that all-encompassing skill that you need in life. So it's the speaking and listening, it's the reading and writing, it's everything you need from customer facing work through to reading and understanding a job description and putting in a good application and a CV. So we see literacy skills really as what young people and what everybody needs in order to succeed in life. Sarah said that this is a really good time to relaunch as the pandemic hopefully is coming fully to an end. And actually it's an even more important time. We know that during lockdown, the young people that have been most affected have been those who had the least to begin with. So they're the ones who have been least able to have books at home because mum and dad perhaps can't afford it or don't prioritise it. So once you're not accessing your school provision or your library is closed, you suddenly are cut off from that world of books, the world of reading and all of those important things. Now, from the point of view of National Literacy Trust, we have been doing our best over the last year, as we have done for the last 27 years and more, to tackle this. So we've got a huge online resource which is available to absolutely everybody in the country. We have launched new online zones to help families, to help teenagers. We've got projects around financial literacy, which we'll be launching with Experian, looking at 16 to 24-year-olds. And we've actually managed to get hundreds of thousands of books out to families through food poverty, through food banks, through social workers during this lockdown. But the key to all of that really is the networks and the partnerships, and at the heart of that are business partnerships. So as an organisation, we have always prioritised and worked with business communities. Now that's from major nationals who might be in a position to, sign a big donation check and allow us to run projects, through to medium enterprises based in an area who are the absolute cornerstone employer, who know their families, who know what people need, who'll say, okay, you know what, we're going to give out some information to parents and families. We're going to change the working shift so that parents can attend, parents' evening at school, down to individual employers. The person who might have the most impact on a family is the local cafe where they go, or the hairdresser. So for us, solving the literacy challenge in this country is absolutely more than schools, government policy, and anything that we as an organisation can do. It is about how we build that real partnership so that the message coming through clear and strong is that literacy is important, that reading and writing matters, that anyone can gain these skills at any point in their life, and that the more we can do early to support children and families, the better, because that starts them on that journey to success. If we can build the literacy skills when a child is first born, because mum and dad have that positive message, have the confidence, have a few books at home and singing songs and rhymes, that sets them up for getting to school. If we've then got extra activities and projects that encourage and inspire them to carry on reading, then they develop the skills they need so they leave primary school ready and able to read. And we know that currently tens of thousands of kids are going to be leaving primary school this year, about 230,000 without those skills, which means they are then set up to make informed choices. And that is how we build that generation of the future that is positive about the work that they want to do, that is positive about their own ability to succeed, and is ready to actually face the kind of challenges that we've got in terms of new economy, in terms of new jobs, in terms of a lifetime of retraining and reskilling, the kind of portfolio employment that we see around us. The core to that is that you can't teach somebody the skills they need for a job in 30 years' time that we don't yet know exists. But what we can do is our best to make sure that young people have the flexibility of skill, the flexibility of learning, that desire and the ability to learn and relearn, which means that we are going to have a vibrant and competitive economy locally and nationally. So a little bit more very briefly on Stoke and on Staffordshire as well. So we've been working in Stoke now for the last kind of 5 or so years. We've done a lot of work through schools and with teachers. We've also done an awful lot of work with outdoor spaces and championing the fact that literacy happens everywhere and every day. So working with Sport England, we have had a brilliant programme called Story Quest, which has been all about getting families out and about, talking and reading together. We've been able to get children and local artists and local authors to help create and drive them. We've got loads of volunteers. We've got all of the kind of things that you really want to actually have a community driving the sort of change that you need. We've also got partnerships with Keele University, with Staffs University. We're working with students. We've actually got a couple of interns on the call at the moment. So wave out to them. We've got young people who are stepping out. So that's Grace and Millie, and committing themselves to literacy in their local area. So while we're national, while we've got those big offers and those big partnerships, we know that solutions are ultimately local. We know that actually tapping into what people in an area are interested in, want to do and can do matters. And that means that the business community is the critical ingredient in that partnership. So really, I'm going to leave it just about there. You've got the information in the pledge of what we hope works. We're really grateful to the Chamber for championing this, and the existing business partners who are part of our steering group, part of driving our strategy, and who you're going to hear from today. But the message is that literacy is a big challenge. It's been made more of a challenge by COVID, but it's a challenge that can be solved, but it can only be solved when we respond to it collectively, relentlessly, and with the kind of positivity that shows what can be achieved if everywhere, but especially in places with the creativity and drive of Stoke, of staffs, and with your support and partnership behind us. So thank you very much. And I will hand over now to Tom.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jason. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of try and set the scene for you about kind of what kind of the pledge is, kind of how you can get involved, kind of, and hopefully during this call, you should actually start to receive the pledge. So what we're going to do is email it out to you. So have a look in your inboxes kind of over the next kind of half an hour, see if you kind of receive the pledge document. The new pledge document that we've produced just kind of sets out kind of what we're expecting from businesses, kind of what the challenge is, and then how you can actually sign up to the pledge, and what we're going to do over the next 12 months as well, kind of around it. So what I'm going to do first is just share my screen, because I'm the only one, unfortunately, for you all who's done a presentation. So 2 seconds. So I'm hoping that you can all see that. Brilliant. So as we say, we're here for the Staffordshire Pledge for Literacy. So just a bit of an overview. So the Staffordshire Business Pledge for Literacy, what it aims to do is kind of bring, picking up on kind of what Jason and Sarah said, is to provide practical guidance and support for businesses who want to really help to improve the levels of literacy in not just young people, but also adults across Staffordshire. Because what we recognise as well is there are a number of adults in kind of current workforces at the minute who also struggle with their kind of literacy levels. And what that does is that will obviously feeds down then to potentially their families, their children, which just kind of exacerbates the problem across the region. So as we've mentioned, it's a joint initiative between kind of ourselves, Staffordshire Chamber of Commerce, and the National Literacy Trust. It's been 2 years kind of in planning. The first year when we launched it, as we've mentioned, kind of COVID came along and put a stop to it, which is why we kind of want to relaunch it now, especially because of the impact, as we've heard, kind of that COVID has had kind of on young people. Now seems like the right time for us to kind of push forward with it. And what it will look to do is recognise the change that businesses can make to literacy levels, not just in their workforce, but also within their families and the wider community. And it aims to contribute towards a happy, healthier, and a more skilled workforce, both now kind of and in the future, as we've talked about kind of that future skills area. So there are 3 areas where we think kind of how businesses could support. So those areas are around kind of support the drive to raise literacy levels in the local community, to engage employees in tackling the literacy challenge, and to ensure the partnership action. So if we look at kind of the support to drive the drive to raise literacy levels in the local community, so this is all about kind of all some of the things that kind of some of you as businesses might already do. So working with schools, working with young people within those schools, and how you can actually start to bring some of the literacy and kind of the work that you do with them into that kind of arena. So and how you can potentially do that as well moving forward. Maybe you don't already work with schools, but you would like to. And again, we can help as part of the Pledge for Literacy to help you to do that. Funding or sponsoring local programmes. So as we've heard, there's a range of different programmes that the National Literacy Trust run, kind of around supporting literacy across Stoke and Staffordshire. We've heard of Story Quest and kind of the new launch for kind of Story Quest. And there are opportunities for businesses to fund and sponsor kind of some of those work. There are also other organisations and other kind of projects which you could get involved with. So in local schools, for example, they run a number of different kind of projects which have a focus on literacy that, again, you could potentially look to kind of fund or kind of sponsor. You maybe could want to or look at sponsoring kind of books or book clubs. Again, that's all the things that we've seen and heard of other businesses across Staffordshire. You could also provide volunteers for local projects. So it's not all about kind of providing money. You may have some of your staff that you are happy to provide to volunteer to help out on these projects. So as we've heard, store requests, some of those kind of projects like that require actual volunteers to kind of help explain kind of what store request is, to promote it out, and to actually lead on some of those programs. And again, it just kind of helps on kind of you, one, giving back to that kind of local community, helps to raise those literacy levels, and helps on areas such as CSR and kind of the health and well-being as well of your staff. The second area that we're looking at is to engage employees in tackling the literacy challenge. So again, kind of how you can kind of raise the profile of literacy in the workplace. So kind of what do you kind of currently do to kind of raise the profile of literacy or reading amongst your kind of staff within kind of your workplace? Do you encourage kind of reading at home? Do you kind of encourage kind of reading within the office? Do you have maybe a book club or a reading corner? Kind of, these are all kind of examples that we've heard kind of across businesses in Staffordshire. Again, touching upon on the volunteer side, you could encourage volunteering kind of different literacy programs across the region. So again, link in with the National Literacy Trust, see what you can potentially do kind of as a business to kind of push some of those volunteering options. How to provide kind of support and information for staff that maybe you've identified or who've come to you kind of who maybe are struggling with their own literacy. So again, kind of how would you support them? Where kind of would you link them to? And again, we're not expecting you to kind of potentially know the answers to some of this, but we as a kind of partnership, as organisations, will help you and kind of point you in the right direction and how you can potentially support those staff. Obviously, then that helps staff on kind of their development and kind of their career development that they want to go through. And also, as I've already touched upon, the wider kind of implications of that is that they will then kind of read with their families, they will then encourage their children to read, and then you are tackling that problem further down in that kind of generation. So it's really kind of important to try to understand kind of what kind of the levels of literacy are in your staff and kind of how you can kind of support some of those areas. And again, it's just really about kind of messaging as well that you might want to do within your workforce. So encouraging reading, kind of talking about kind of books that kind of people have maybe kind of talked about. If you have, for example, maybe health and well-being groups, how those health and well-being groups could potentially look at kind of literacy and kind of tackling some of those. So again, there's different areas. And again, what we'll do is we'll come on to this in a bit later in the pledge, but how we can support you with some of those. And then the third key area is ensure partnership action. So there already exists a kind of strong partnership already locally across Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire that are tackling this literacy challenge. As you can see, we've got kind of organisations like Keel, kind of the National Literacy Trust, the Chamber, Synetic Solutions, who are all kind of doing work already within this area. So it's about how we can kind of encourage and kind of develop and ensure that partnership action moving forward. So how do we help to spread local campaigns and key messages through kind of your clients, your partners, your suppliers? So we're getting the message out as wide as possible through kind of our network. How do we promote the literacy pledge to kind of customers and kind of clients in your supply chain? How do we raise awareness of that? How can you share kind of potential best practice kind of with other businesses about kind of some of the work that you're actually doing? And then maybe you are actually happy to maybe give some of your time to join things like we have a Stoke Reads steering group, which is tackling some of those issues and kind of looking at the wider kind of implications of literacy across Stoke-on-Trent. So again, all around kind of ensuring that partnership, driving that collaboration, what we can do as a collective. So this pledge is all around us understanding what's currently going on, understanding where those gaps are that we can kind of help to plug, and how we can kind of, as a collective, shout about kind of all the great work that we are doing about literacy and how we are then tackling the literacy challenge across the region. So this is essentially how it works. So like I say, hopefully we'll be sending across to you, or maybe you've already received it, the business pledge for literacy. So this will actually be the literacy document that you will receive. Again, just explain some of the bits that I've already mentioned in more detail, some of the kind of the background behind it. What we will also include in that email then is a SurveyMonkey link for you to actually complete the pledge. So what is on there is then, this is just kind of a very simple that kind of you will just kind of complete kind of your name and kind of all the details about you and your business, and state that you're committing to signing the literacy pledge. It'll also ask you areas and where you potentially would like further support or information or advice. And then there's also then finally a box for you to actually just tell us a little bit about maybe some of the work that you're already doing to kind of tackle the problem. Again, that just helps us to understand some of the great work that potentially is already going on across the county, and all the kind of, we can then potentially use that for best practice examples, case studies, press releases, and areas like that. Once you've then signed the pledge, what we will then do is provide you with a guidance document. So this guidance document will have practical suggestions to help you undertake activities to support literacy. After that, all signatories will then receive a pledge logo. So we have created Staffordshire Business Pledge for Literacy logo to show that you are a signatory of the pledge, that you can use on your email signatures. You can use it on your website. And again, what we will also do is any signatories is we will recognise any success stories, any case studies, like I've mentioned, through our own chamber press releases, our own website, our own social media, but also kind of wider throughout the partnership as well. Kind of partners will share that information. We'll also what we also would be asking you once you've completed the pledge is we'll come out to you and ask for your actual logo as well. Because what we're going to do is collate all the logos of all the signatories, just to highlight the scale of the businesses who are supporting this literacy challenge across Staffordshire. So the idea is that kind of in 12 months' time, hopefully we will have kind of tens, if not hundreds of businesses who signed up to it, and we will have a visual kind of board, a visual kind of website that just shows all of the businesses that are kind of tackling this area, tackling this challenge in Staffordshire. And then after 6 months, Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce will look to kind of contact you, kind of see how you're getting on, see if you need any kind of support, what areas you maybe have worked on. Again, kind of share some of those best practice stories with us so we can see what we can do kind of around promotion around that. And again, what we'll then just kind of see what you maybe want to work on over the next 6 months and how we can help you and link you in with some of that work. It's not going to be us just saying, oh, you haven't done anything, why haven't you done anything? It's not going to be that kind of policing kind of meeting. We are there to act as that support and try to encourage as much kind of work around the literacy area as possible. So as I say, hopefully you should have now kind of received or will receive kind of the survey and the pledge document. What we'll do is ask all businesses to include a contact on there who will potentially act as your kind of company champion for the pledge. As mentioned, it will highlight areas where you would like to get involved and kind of your key kind of areas that you would like to get involved in. It will also ask what kind of activities your business might want to kind of is currently undertaking to tackle the issue, as we've already mentioned, and then we will ask you for that logo, as kind of we said. And once a business has pledged their support, we'll send you the literacy logo will be provided, so you can use it on your marketing materials. Business names and logos will be highlighted by the chamber through our social media. We'll send that guidance document, and then finally what we'll also be looking to do is to run events throughout the year as well as a chamber. So we will be putting on a series of events over the next kind of 12 months, which people who sign the pledge will be able to be a part of. So it will include networking events, awareness raising events, celebration events, just so we can get kind of the groups together, build up that kind of partnership kind of that we talked about, share best practices, share kind of examples of what other businesses have done, and hopefully as well then kind of show off a little bit to maybe some businesses who haven't signed the pledge to say, look, this is kind of what we're doing, this is kind of the difference we're making, why don't you get involved, why don't kind of you join us to see kind of what we can do. As we said, after 6 months, we'll then contact you as kind of to raise any kind of issues, and the support will be also provided on being able to signpost you to any kind of businesses or support who may not have been kind of proactive to be able to kind of link and kind of drive that support forward. We will then review the pledge in 12 months to see kind of what difference that we have made, see kind of what kind of some great the stories that have come through that, see kind of what we then want to look at kind of at the next 12 months, what kind of developments we want to make. We will get feedback off all those who've kind of completed the pledge and see kind of what we want to then look around kind of the next 12 months after the current one. And then we will also then look to have at that 12-month stage, as I say, a celebration event about all the hard work that we've done as a group in tackling the literacy challenge. So hopefully that then gives you a bit of an insight. So thank you for kind of going through that kind of with me. I've just seen through an email that has come through that now you should have all started to have received the email kind of for the pledge and the signatory. If you are happy to sign up to the pledge now, what I will do in a minute is also share in the chat the SurveyMonkey link. So you will be able to sign the pledge if you wanted to do it immediately. Again, that'll be great if you can. If you need to kind of take it away and think about it, that's fine as well. But kind of if you need to talk to anyone kind of on this call will be happy to chat to you about the pledge as well. So what I'm now going to do is hand over to Kate Beardmore from Synetic Solutions, who's going to talk to you about kind of a business example, so kind of what Synetics are currently doing and have done around kind of their tackling the literacy challenge. So Kate.
Thank you. I feel like we all need to take a bit of a breath, actually. Like there was so much information in that like first half an hour, and it was just, you know, really gives you an amazing view of the, you know, the current sort of situation with it, but also the opportunities that are there as well. And I think hopefully you can see from everybody who's spoken just the passion and the enthusiasm that is there for helping, supporting this absolutely amazing area of focus. So what I'm going to do is take some of sort of what Tom's been saying and hopefully bring it a little bit more to life and give you some kind of examples of how we've been doing a couple of things. So first of all, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Kate Beardmore. I am the People and Client Success Director at Synectics. Synectics is, we've got about 350 staff. We're based in Burslem, and we're a very innovative technology company. So we have, wonderful, so they won't mind me calling them quite geeky people and salesy people who work for us. So we've got a huge wide range. And we've really taken our staff we do a lot of promoting of what the National Literacy Trust does and how that, and I think for me, it's about a ripple effect. And just if, I can't even remember how many businesses are part of the chamber, but if just every one of them did one thing, the effect that would have on so many children and so many adults and the impact to people's lives is absolutely huge. So I'm going to give you hopefully quite a few different examples of what we've done, but please don't feel there's any pressure. It might not work for your business. And it's just a case of to get those ideas sparking. And maybe you can please feel free to pilfer every single one of the ideas that we've done, and even take them and make them better, and then come back and tell me how you've done them. That would be amazing too. So I first started working with the National Literature a few years ago now, and they came in, and I can still remember Jason coming in and David. I can tell you we were sitting in the boardroom just around the corner from where I'm standing now. And for anybody who doesn't know about Synectics, it's a family business, and my mum is Carol Shanahan, and my mum and dad set the business up. And one of the things that mum's really taught me over the 15 years I've worked in the business is about sort of how grateful we are for the position and how lucky we are to be in the positions that we are in, and that there is an obligation really to give back. But what she taught me was it's not necessarily all about money, and it's not necessarily just about giving cash to charities and stuff like that. That's great, and that charities do need them. But sometimes it's about asking the charities what they need, aside from just the running sort of costs and things like that. So I did as I was taught, and I asked the National Literacy Trust what they needed, to which the answer came back: storage of books. They are so fortunate to get an unbelievable amount of donations of books to give out. So I said, yeah, that's fine. We've got a big storage area at the back that we use. But, this used to be where I am in Burslem, used to be an old supermarket. So there's a massive storage area. Yeah, no problem. We can store some books for you. Didn't quite realise just how many books I'd committed Synectics to until I think it was about, I can't even remember the blooming figure now. Dave, you might have to help me. It was definitely like 1,500 books or something. Or was it well over that, I think? It was about, Lois is kind of like showing me going like this, so it's way bigger than that, wasn't it? I can't even remember now. I think was it over 10,000 books even that we got? Yeah. So these 10,000 books arrived, and we stored them. Barry the Fish. I know quite a lot about Barry the Fish now. Anyway, so these books arrived, and we stored them. No problems for us. The space was there and absolutely available. So for me, it's things like that whenever, if you do have, and lots and lots of boxes, yeah. So if you've got, if you can store books, they'll snap your hand off, and it's things like that. One of the things that I really look to do as well at Synectics is look at how I can match the projects that the National Literacy Trust and Stoke Reeds, which is part of that, but in particular, obviously for our area, Stoke Reeds are doing, and see how we can amalgamate that, just by advertising it. So we have a weekly newsletter. So I will take the newsletter that the National Literacy Trust and Stoke Reed send out, and we will take what we feel is relevant for our staff and put that into our newsletter. Again, doesn't take a lot of time. The content is already there. If I'm brutally honest, I tend to just pick it up and paste it from one thing to another. But that, so that's reaching over 300 staff and just raising awareness. The current one that they're doing of the story quests, absolutely amazing. And yes, it's targeting kids, but actually I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to go do it in a couple of weeks' time and go around. I think we're doing the Bursland Park one, and we're going to go around and actually do it. We're actually going to film it as well, because I agree to these things. Actually, I came up with the blooming idea, and then hopefully that'll be shared, and so that other people can see it. Because for me, it's actually a bit scary. I know it sounds a ridiculous thing to say, but picking up the thing, I know Bursland Park really well, but actually I'm really looking forward to kind of like the excitement of it as well, of seeing which way, and then only then will I then take my kids on something like that, because any parent who does it off the bat and just takes their kids with them while they're doing it, fair play to them, my kids would be going off in the different directions. But so I'm going to do that and then share that with our staff, and probably share it with Stoke Reed as well, and we'll raise awareness that way. The other thing that I know that with the story quest that we're really considering as well, and I know that I don't think anybody from Steelite unfortunately is on the call, but what they did was that they sponsored the story quest, which was absolutely amazing, and they had their logo on obviously all the things, but I think you guys managed to kind of create Steelite almost into the story as well, and then made sure that as part of the story sort of around this area that they went past Steelite, and it raised awareness that way as well, and that went down extremely well. I know coming up there are 6 community events, and we're going to be sharing as soon as the council give us the go-ahead for the blooming parks. So anybody on here, that's another thing you could do. If you know someone in the council who could help us with that, amazing, badger them, tell them, yes, please get back to us so that we can get these amazing events scheduled and advertised out. But again, just sharing them. Another thing that I tend to do is on the Facebook page of Stoke Reeds, just following them. That's sometimes all you need to do. If you see something then that takes your attention or you think would be really good, share it. Share it with your personal friends if you feel sort of called to. Again, that's just raising that kind of awareness of a big challenge, but also things that you can do. We've got a book. We've got a library corner. Actually, we've got a couple now. We took one big library space and we divvied it up actually around the business, which is nice. So if you tend to walk around our office, there's books. There's normally books, not Barry the Fish, unfortunately, but there's loads of books that our staff have donated. Quite a lot of the physical books to us as well. We have a book group every month, oh my gosh, I've read some interesting books via that route that I would not have read before. Blood Orange, I think I'm not, if I'm honest, my kind of a book of choice is that kind of romantic comedy sort of style. We got given the psychological thriller of Blood Orange, and I could not put it down. I think I stayed up till like 2 a.m. reading it because I just couldn't not read it. So it's expanded my horizon with that as well. But again, just talking about literacy. We also look at what the needs of our staff, and we've got a lot of parents who work for us. So we worked with the National Literacy Trust on actually getting a teacher to come in and talk to us about phonics. Because, dear God, bring back Letterland is what I say. That's what I went through. However, nowadays we're on the for the ants and all sorts of different things that my 2-year-old is now quoting and singing at me. And you know what? I felt completely out of my depth. This 2-year-old, 4-year-old coming on, the teachers, absolutely amazing teachers, but to some extent just expecting you to know about these tricky words and all sorts of different, and we're doing the phase 1 of phonics. Right, okay, I did not know there was phases to phonics. you know, so we got people in to support us through it, and it really helped the staff. And there was some changes going on with the GCSEs a couple of years ago as well. So we got a different teacher, or it might have been the same one. I think we were quite lucky on that. They came in and they talked to the staff regarding it. Again, this is all just raising awareness of what you can do. I know a couple of years ago that the National Literacy Trust ran, there was a thing called the Words for Work, which we got involved in. Some of our staff volunteered for it. And I am just going to read you a quote that we had back from one of it. It was for Year 9 kids, if I remember rightly. And they said, the Words for Work gave us confidence, and that if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. That's one child. Even, you know, giving, you know, I think we had about 4 of our staff not give up. They donated their time of, you know, I think it was about 2 hours a week for about 6 weeks. Oh my God, for one child coming out with that sentence, it was worth everything. You know, and there were so many other knock-on, you know, that was just one child. There was other comments that were made that were really positive as well. So it's not that you have to come up with all the ideas, in my opinion. You know, the National Literature, Lois and Stoke Reads, they do an absolutely incredible job. So you don't need to think about all of this. It's just a element that you can just work with them on. And even if you could just give, you know, some of the staff's time, even if it's, you know, donating some storage space, you know, even if it's just signing up for their newsletter and just seeing what activities are going on, it will all make a genuinely massive difference. It's been amazing to see. I haven't kept up with the chat as I've been talking, to be fair, but, you know, Deb Anderson's on there sort of talking about, Deb McAndrews is on there, and amazing to have her on here, and, you know, sharing the fantastic work that she does, and now seeing those links sort of coming in and tying it even more. There are so many, you know, most people around this table, well, I would say that everybody's probably doing something. You just only probably realize you're even doing it because you're nice people, you'll just do it naturally. But actually, everybody is doing something probably to support it. What we're trying to do is raise awareness so that we can take it to that next level. As you can probably tell, I am on the steering group of Stoke Reads. They do get my challenge and my enthusiasm in those meetings as well. And yeah, so any businesses, we're always looking for the business sort of context as well. So yeah, obviously you can always reach out to me or to Mike, or there's a load of us, Dave Feldman. Yeah, there's loads of us on here today. Would love to hear your input on it. The other thing I'm going to kind of end on a little bit is I'm actually dyslexic. I kind of feel that one of the next things that I might do is actually share that a little bit more. And I probably would do, like, maybe do a social media post on it about being dyslexic. But it doesn't, I don't know, my brain just works slightly different. I can, but again, maybe if you know of people within your business, just celebrating them, so showing them that actually, you know, I love that Richard Branson is dyslexic, and he's also, I think, left-handed. So I've got a double whammy as well with Richard Branson, you know, but he talks about it quite publicly. So if you know of anybody within your business, just talking about it in a really positive way can have a really positive difference as well, and maybe give somebody the confidence in an organization. Maybe they're working in admin and they, you know, maybe they've had a really awful experience of being dyslexic, because I know a lot of people have, and then they want to kind of, that gives them the confidence to go for a job that they wouldn't normally do. Or, you know, it's about looking at job roles and just making sure that you're catering for all different types of learning styles. That's what we try and do with all of our training as well. You know, there's so many different ways that you can learn. So for me, I'm a lot with my dyslexia, I am quite visual. So my team will know that if they bring me stuff, don't bring me a load of words, because I just won't be able to take it in. But draw me a nice little picture and I'm well there, and it's brilliant. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I should be saying to you, but I don't think there is. I'm happy. I think the next bit is any questions. So I can see Ivy's got a hand up. So I'm assuming your question is probably for me. So I'm happy to take any questions if you've got them.
Yeah, hello there, Kate. I'm just picking up on it's really interesting you talking about dyslexia, because that's another thing that I'm trying to raise awareness of and change the paradigm, if you like, of seeing that as a positive thing, as something of an asset rather than a liability. Something that I'm engaging with right now is I work with the ADHD Foundation, which is an umbrella neurodiversity charity that wants to raise the awareness of different aspects of neurodiversity, like dyslexia, like dyscalculia, I can't say that, and autism of different spectrum and so forth. And we're actually going to be bringing an arts installation to Stoke-on-Trent next year, beginning of June and July time.
Ooh, nice.
It's to coincide and it's to be part of a new festival called Rewired, which is a digital arts festival, which was what I was asking about, whether or not the National Literacy Trust would value the digital form of reading. And I think I've just
lots of nods from the National Literacy Trust people here. Lots.
Yeah.
Mike's about to blow off if you can nod.
Yes, I just saw Mike's feed actually answering the question, and he says that the trust supports reading in all forms, which I was, quite enthused about, because it's something that maybe we can work together within the VEF Festival to really promote the National Literacy Trust as well in that way. Reading in digital form, reading in audio form, and capture the younger people's imagination. Because I know with my kids, you give them a book and it's kind of hard work to get them to flick through the pages. But actually, when they're on their iPads, they are actually reading things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reading to be done, and it's not always just messing about with games and things.
Absolutely.
So two very quick ones on the tech and the digital. Yes, the research says that actually online reading, especially kind of e-readers and stuff, is a gateway to all forms of reading for boys. They read, especially boys, they read more, they enjoy it more, they read for longer, and most of them transition to books as well. So that's kind of positive in terms of how we use tech to engage. We've done a huge amount of work with audio, but actually your point, Ivy, about all different types of readers and actually all different types of writers and authors as well. I mean, one of the really big things is the number of, just taking the point around people who are dyslexic, the number of dyslexic authors who are author illustrators. And actually it's really quite interesting because just as kind of Kate described, people who have dyslexia often have a kind of more visual interpretation of information, of a way to understand and explain things, which is why they're so useful to organizations, because almost by default, they see challenges differently and therefore find other solutions. So short answer is yes, anything we can do more that champions that, because from one point of view, there's a lot of young people out there who might be going, this is really hard. Hopefully a lot more young people now get the right kind of diagnosis and the right help, so they're not kind of, oh, you're just rubbish at it. So that's a positive. But at the same time, actually, there's a lot more that we can do in that space. So I'm going to say yes on all of those. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do there. Oh, Lois has got her hand up, so I'll stop.
Thanks, Jason. I just wanted to tie in with what you were saying about authors and illustrators, because our new author, Kidda Kinsey, is an author illustrator and has produced our 2 new story quests. Now, Kidda is dyslexic and very local, so as a role model, really, really inspirational for young people in the area. And Kidda's willing to go into schools and do presentations, or will be coming to our events to talk to the local community. So it's a really good example of how a dyslexic person can be really creative and kind of engage children in the local area.
Oh, I think that, I think that, I'm dyslexic. I don't wear it as a badge, if I'm honest. It's not the first thing I tend to tell people about myself. And I remember anybody who's heard Tommy from, who used to work at, I still do, it's Steelite, Tommy Dawkins, who's an absolutely incredible, his story is absolutely amazing. And he made me really realize just how much, and I think I've done it with my dyslexia, how many coping mechanisms you actually naturally put in, to survive, basically. But it means that, there might be staff in people's businesses who have put these most amazing coping mechanisms in, but you don't necessarily know. So actually just making environments safe for people, Tommy couldn't actually read or write. And, he couldn't read the health and safety signs. He couldn't, how he did everything. And what was the program on Channel 4 to do? Oh, somebody's going to have to help me out here because I can't remember the blooming title of it.
It was the write-offs.
Write-offs.
Yeah.
The write-offs, and he was on it, and he was incredible. But the stories that even recommending that, especially for anybody in Staffordshire, because I mean, one of our own was on it and did amazing. He did go the wrong way on the motorway. It wasn't necessarily the smoothest journey for him. But just recommending that to people and just being able to see, actually, we are so lucky that we are able to read and write. And probably for most of our upbringings, we've been extremely fortunate. Not everybody is in that same boat. So looking, at how you can do things slightly differently to create that environment to help people kind of come out more. And, hearing these stories that, dyslexic people can actually thrive, and we do look at things differently, and can be benefit. I didn't really think about it in that way, Jason, so I'm taking that, so thank you. But these, again, they're all about ripple effects.
Has anyone got any other questions?
Final thing, during the pandemic, I work really closely, my mum set up the Hub Foundation, and we delivered over 300,000 meals across in particular across Stoke, during the pandemic, and most of them actually had a book in them. As well, because we worked with the National Literacy Trust. So, during trying to find different ways to entertain kids during the pandemic, because that was a challenge, but it was amazing, the partnership work that I know that the National Literacy Trust and Stoke Reads do. So really good to see all of those partners really coming more to the forefront as well, and different ways that we can do things. Malcolm, are you raising your hand there? I think I can see you. Just need you to unmute.
Oh, that's it. Great.
Sorry about that, hon.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good, fantastic. Look, really keen to sign the pledge again, because we signed it last year. Very keen to get involved, and like I said in my chat room with you, I've got several apprentices in publishing, assistants, graduates who can help on this scheme. So Mike, if you can confirm a meeting, we can sort things out maybe next week. And could anybody, Tom or Jason, send me the logo for the literacy pledge? It'd be really helpful.
Yeah, no problem, Malcolm. I'll make sure that gets sent across.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. I shall have to log off soon.
No
It's
worries.
really good to meet you all and speak to you again soon, I hope.
That'd be great, Malcolm. I look forward to meeting you.
Cheers.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you.
Has anyone else got any other questions for any of the speakers today? Just raise your hand or come off mute. Give it a few seconds just in case.
It's waiting for that tumbleweed moment, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah.
Have I pressed unmute? I couldn't find the raise hand thing again. Hi, it's just Ivy again. I'd just like to say thank you for organising this webinar. I actually signed up to this webinar by accident because I was trying to organise to book onto the virtual lounge for something else, but I'm really actually, it's been a happy accident because I found out so much more information that I didn't realise that the Trust is doing around Staffordshire area, and there's so many different connections and collaborations to be made to make the message stronger. So I feel like I have that commitment to help send the message across to the wider public. I mean, it sounds like you're doing a great job already, but it's really enthused me to participate. So thank you for organising this seminar today.
No problem at all. And just kind of following on from that, so the poll is the survey for the pledge is live. So as many of you as possible, if you could sign the pledge, that would be great. This is kind of the kickstart of this for us. So what we're going to be doing is over the next months is promoting it kind of as widely as possible. Kate's done a video that's going out to the patrons this afternoon at a patrons event. So we are kind of tackling them as well. We're going to be doing a lot more kind of press, a lot more media, a lot more social media around this. So as we want as many businesses as possible to tell us kind of what they're doing, that they want to sign up to kind of the pledge to tackle literacy, so we can celebrate kind of all the success in 12 months time about what we've actually achieved. So thank you everybody for kind of joining today. Thank you for Sarah, for Jason and Kate for kind of their insights. Hopefully you now, I know there was a bit of an error where we didn't actually send the pledge out on the email, but you now should have all received the pledge with attached and the survey. So please kind of find some time today to complete that. I know that 5 of you have already, 6 of you now have already done that, which is fantastic. And I'd just like to finally pass over to Laura, who would like to talk to you about polls. Laura?
Hi, good morning. I know that Tom's already done a monkey survey, but just for our benefit, we're going to just pop on the screen now 3 questions. I just need you to ask you really quickly just before you leave the webinar today. It's just for our events team, if that's okay. So you should see in a second a poll launching up on your screen, and I just need you to quickly just answer all the 3 questions, and then we're done for today. I'm hoping you can see all the polls on your screen now, guys. Perfect. Keep going if you wouldn't mind. That's it. They're all coming through now. Brilliant. Great. Just a couple more of you. Brilliant. Fantastic. Keep going. It's like the X Factor all over again. Brilliant. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much for voting today, guys. That's brilliant. Tom, it's over to you.
Brilliant. So thank you everybody for joining this morning. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to, I'll drop my details in the chat. Feel free to get in touch with me. And like I say, it'll be great to see kind of how many businesses kind of over the next few months sign up to pledge and all the great work that everybody's doing. So thank you for joining us today.